This video that we're doing today is for Stoughton High School, and specifically Stoughton High School students. Mr. McCormack, myself, Miss Riley, and Mr. Gatelli all work in the business technology department. So one of the key things, especially with concern for my class, which is the video production courses and media courses, and Mr. McCormack's classes, which are like A+ certification, hardware, and really like advanced computer courses, is safety. And specifically when we're referring to safety, we wanted to do a video here to highlight just common sense things and common sense ideas and practices and principles that we utilize on a daily basis with our students regarding cables. And when I'm talking about cables, I'm talking mostly about electrical cables, and I'm also talking about for my stuff, which is going to be, the video cables and audio cables, specifically XLR cables and BNC cables. So I want to thank Mr. McCormack for joining me here today.
Exactly, and it's also about the inside of those computers and making sure that no one ruins the computer or electrocutes themselves.
So some of the things that I wanted to highlight first and foremost is what are some of the key rules that we live by on a daily basis. So for me, and then I'll give you a chance to respond. For me, I would say that it's really important that the students use common sense. And what do I mean by that? Like, we need to think, where are we placing our cables? What room are we in? Are people going to be walking around where our cables are placed? Can we tape our cables down to the ground? Should we tape our cables down to the ground? Can we move our cables to the side, or just an area that people aren't walking in? One of the key things that I'm going to talk about with my students that I think is really important and crucial is that they do a location scout when they're about to film. So, the key basics, with us is making sure, where are we putting our cables down in a room? Are we putting it on the floor? Are people going to be walking back and forth? Can we put it in a place that is kind of tucked away from where people are walking in and out? If not, if it's going to be in a place where people are going to walk back and forth, then we want to use there's basically this rubber thing that's called a riser, or we want to tape down the cable. And I'll be showing you that later, the stuff that we put to the cables to make it more obvious that the cables are down. But, it's as simple as, if I don't have the more expensive stuff to put a cable down with, just using tape, and that's called gaffing. The other important thing that I think is really crucial with my students is, we try to avoid daisy chaining. That means putting power strips back to back connected, because that's pretty much a fire hazard and is pretty dangerous to do. The other thing that's really important is making sure that we don't have water hitting any electrical cables and also video or audio cables. The other thing that's really important too is making sure we wrap up our cables, our audio and our video and electrical cables correctly, and we'll be showing how to do that later on in the video as well. The other thing that I think is really crucial, and we're going to show this a little bit later in the broadcast, is not daisy chaining. Not daisy chaining. That means putting power strips back to back. You can do it, but it's not really recommended. It can cause definitely a fire hazard situation. So that's one of those other things that I recommend not to do. So those are some of the key concepts from me. And Mr. McCormack, if you want to go.
With computer repair, once you open up that box, you want to make sure it's not plugged in anymore. You want to be quite aware of electric static discharge, ESDs, that it's so easy for you to carry that static electricity and just walking across a room. That'll ruin a diode, it'll ruin a memory stick. All of these things have to be kept in mind, keeping it away from water, keeping everything clean, keeping the dust out from inside the machine. We're going to visit all of these. Mr. Bechet and I will be visiting all of these suggestions as we go. We want everyone to be, the equipment to be safe, and more than that, our students to always be safe.
Okay, Mr. McCormack, thank you for that. That was really helpful. So what Mr. McCormack and I are going to do next is we're just going to show you some simple issues that we were just talking about. Like, we talked about daisy chaining and how to wrap up a cable and the dangers of having water near cabling. So we're just going to show you that real quick, and then we're probably going to go downstairs in Mr. McCormack's room and show you the inside of a computer, if that works with you.
After we finish here, we're going to get down to the computer lab We'll open up a couple of computers, and we'll show you what the inside looks like, and we'll suggest some safety features when working in and around computers. Corey, can you come here?
All right, we're back here. So right now, Mac and I have just set up some electrical cables, one XLR cable, one BNC with a water bottle. So
The enemy of all electronics.
this being the enemy can cause some serious damage. I'm going to tell you a story real quick that's a true story. One of my friends worked at Channel 7 News, and actually the whole entire news shoot for the 11 o'clock news couldn't go on air. Do you want to know why, Tom?
Why, Kevin?
Somebody...
Not Mr. Bechet.
Okay, that's okay. So why? One person actually had a soda bottle filled with soda right in front of their switcher and had it open and actually hit it with his elbow, and it hit the whole entire switcher, freeze the broadcast. They had to actually call out an engineer to repair it because, you know, soda, obviously the sugar and stuff does not mix well with the electrical circuitry in the board. So that was a huge, huge mistake. And it's one of my biggest fears here with you guys. So just remember, like, anytime you're around cameras, computers, this should never go into the control room. Liquids, foods should never, ever, ever be in our control room, ever. And that's one of the, you know, main causes of concerns for me as a video teacher. And I'm sure you have the same
Computers
worries.
as well, absolutely. It is the enemy of all electronics. You have to be very, very cognizant of that.
The next thing that we started to talk about is we have our power cables here, power strips. And these are awesome. They help you in obvious situations, you know, charge multiple devices, multiple computers, whatever have you at once. But the problem is if you start to do this, right, because we don't have enough electrical. Say we need like 10 devices, and we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then inputs here. So we're gonna do this, right? We're gonna do this, and then we'll bridge off this power strip over here. This is what we call daisy chaining. This is not safe. You can do it, but I would never have this not being supervised. So what do I mean by this? I've daisy chained, but like I want to be in the room when this charging is happening just to make sure that no short circuits happen, no electrical like discharges happening where there's a fire safety issue and starts a fire. So if you're ever daisy chaining, you need to be there to supervise. But if you can avoid daisy chaining, it's best to avoid.
It's better to plug it into the end of this into the wall. And it also acts for a computer as a surge protector to make sure there isn't a spike that comes through the line that could ruin your computer. So though it's got a built-in surge protector, we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Okay, so the last part of this, before we head down to Mr. McCormack's room and open up a computer and do the last part of our video, is, for me, wrapping up cables, specifically XLR cable, specifically BNC cable. This is your standard audio cable, this is your standard video cable. Now they're actually getting kind of mixed and you have what's called an HDMI cable, where you have audio and video into one cable. But for the longest time, this is what we use in the audio video industry. So I have a basic cable here. These cables they get expensive. They run up to 20, 30 bucks a piece. So if we're spending to replace cables every year, we're not buying cameras, we're not buying new technology that we need to give our students that need to advance to college or wherever to work afterwards. Basically, everybody really needs a good concept of how to make a video in AV. So if we're wasting money, we're not getting new equipment is the bottom line. So when we wrap up a cable, it's very important. You don't do this. I see that a lot. You can do that with electrical. You don't do that with an audio cable. When you wrap an audio or video cable, you like to extend it out a little bit. This is what I call kind of manipulating the cable, getting it to be flexible again. I take the end, and then I take my hand here, and I just spin. And I want it to be like a circle at the end, and I want it to be able to look something similar to this. This way the cable will last longer, okay? Same thing with the BNC. Manipulate the cable. This is always my first step, is manipulate the cable and then wrap it. If it's doing like this or kinking or doing that, the cable's going to get damaged. That's what's called kinking. So make sure you wrap it right. It should be almost in a circular fashion, just like that.
And you don't grab it by the head.
Right. The head being here up top.
You don't grab it, you grab it by the wire and spin it that way.
Okay, so that is it for now. Please.
Well, we're going downstairs.
Yep, join us. Stay tuned as we go into the last part of the video.
Into the dungeon. Welcome to the dungeon.
Welcome to the dungeon. We're back, as my friend Mr. McCormack would say. This is the last section of the video where we just wanted to talk about a couple more details that we've alluded to the previous part of the video regarding electrical safety. And today is going to be more focused in the computer lab and working with computers. Before I kick it over to Tom, Mr. McCormack, I did want to show one more quick thing. In the previous section, I talked about risers, like ways to protect cables when people are around. I like to use this. If I can tuck a let me say this first. If I can tuck a cable away and I know nobody's gonna like walk over, it's not like a general area where there's a lot of foot traffic, then that's my preference. But if I have to tape around like a doorway or someplace where people are gonna be walking, I like to use these because that way the cable sticks out more. And what I do is I put the cable in these little folds here, and then I cut out my section, so how long the cable is, and then I tape that to the ground. And it's really helpful. I do it in my room because I have a couple of areas where like there are cables but people walk near. And again, it's just safety. The other good thing too is, like I said, this helps protect from water too if anybody spills water near the cable because it's rubber. All right, so I'm just gonna put this down, and Mr. McCormack, you can go.
That's ideal for having to go across an aisle or something like that, so nobody trips over it, as we showed in the other video we did earlier. And to get back to the safety issue, we are very, very concerned about our students' safety. That's our key thought here. The other thing is we really don't want any of our equipment to be damaged. You know, we don't have a lot of money for this stuff, and we want to make sure that what we have keeps running. So I want to just give you a couple of quick hints about inside the computer and what you need to do. So we can open the computer up like this. We have the inside. Now, in order to do this correctly, what we would make sure that the computer is never plugged in when you open it up. And then after you make sure that you hit the power button, so you're going to drain whatever energy is in there off the computer. Then there's several ways to make sure that you don't have an ESD or an electrostatic discharge. You can use the wrist bracelet. You can use a pad that you put the computer down on. You want to be very careful. Remember, the enemy of all electronics is water, so we want to be very careful about that. When you get inside this thing, you want to be very, very careful about what you do. You want to be, every computer comes apart a little bit differently. You want to be very jaundiced with how you take things apart. You want to be very careful as you take it apart that you take a picture with your phone so you know where all the wires go back in afterwards. It is crucial to do that. So the electrostatic discharge can ruin a memory stick, anything in the computer, and it can completely damage the part, or it can damage it a little bit, and then it would take you forever to figure out that it's damaged because it'll look fine until you put it under pressure, and then it'll fail on you. So it's important to have a good toolkit here, folks. It's important that we don't have the electrostatic discharge. It's important that you pay attention when you're working on your computers. You want to always pay attention. You don't want to be fooling around with your classmates. You want to stay focused on the job as you would be if this is a real job, because hopefully this is preparing our students for a real job one day, whether it's film, whether it's computer repair. All of these things are what we are here, real world skills for our students. And even if you don't do it as a career, at least you understand how this stuff works and you can work with it on your own at home. Kevin, can you add something to that?
Yeah, just some final thoughts is we're not trying to do this video to scare anybody, just more to make you aware of, good practices to use when you're using equipment and when you're out in the field or you're in the computer lab, because it's not only like your safety that you're impacting, I think people forget this, but other people's safety. Like, if
Definitely.
if we put a cable in the wrong place, somebody trips, they could get seriously injured. If they're elderly, they could hit their head, and that could be a real catastrophe.
Like me.
If somebody gets electrocuted, you know, there's just a lot of things to consider. And like I said, my favorite thing to tell the students is, if you're not sure, just raise your hand. I'd rather you ask a question and we do it right, or we train you right before something negative happens.
Yeah, just don't go bull into something. Take your time, make sure it's right. If you don't understand, you can ask a classmate. If they can't help you, you ask me. We make sure you learn right out of the box. Very, very important. We are very hands-on and we're very supportive of all of our students.
All right, I think that's about it. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure when you're done that you complete your post-survey.
Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much from the IT and
Video production
Video
department.
Production Department. Thank you. Excellent. Most awesome.